Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Mahavishnu Goswaminiti Namine Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Daivim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय श्रीमद् भगवद गीता as it is की जय श्री चैतन्य चरितामृत की जय श्री लॉर्ड नित्यानंद महाजन's transcendental appearance day program की जय महोत्सव की जय निताई गौरचंद्र प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. So very Hare Krishna and wishing all of you a very happy Lord Nityananda Appearance Day in advance. We are doing a day in advance. I think this year in India also it's on the same day as that in New Zealand. So, yes, without further delay, I would invite devotees. I'm thinking, I think I should start with the kirtan first. Just give me a second if I can. I've selected a nice kirtan for this. Hold on, I'll just put the. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So, everyone had a nice, blissful Srila Gurudev's transcendental appearance day? You enjoyed?
Tirobhav.
Sorry, Tirobhav, excuse me. Tirobhav. Everyone enjoyed this? Yeah? One has to. Because it is like this, the appearance day and more than appearance day, the disappearance day, Tirobhav, is more important. Because Tirobhav is a time where the personality has already lived the life and proved to the whole world what have they done. So it is the proof. That's how it is. Hare Krishna. Okay, 1 minute, please. Okay. Okay, Hare Krishna. Okay, one done. Here to go. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Normally I do this when all of you start to speak. So you guys don't realize it. I'm on frantic time when the program is starting. All right. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Gurudev ki Jai. Okay. Lord Nityananda, Lord Nityananda Prabhu is the original spiritual master. All this will be revealed as we discussed. Will be discussed, and devotees will be giving their realizations. But Krishnadas, can you please come? We'll require you to play the mridanga. Thank you. So, some of you may know this particular kirtan. It's a beautiful song. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in a district called Nadia. So did Lord Nityananda in West Bengal. So this is a Bengali song. How many of you know Bengali? Can you raise your hand, please? None of you know Bengali. Neither do I. আমি বাংলা ভাষা জানি না, but still we are followers of Nityananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we all follow. Somebody's chatting. Who is the chat? I knew a little bit. Who's it? Mukunda. If you show your face, we'll know better. Very good, Mukunda. Then you will know very nicely. So you've seen this in the screen now? Right. That's great. So I know many of you are very good singers, and but then if you can mute yourself, it'll be very nice, and sing in your own places. We'll sing here. I'll try my best. I'm not a good singer, but hey, we are a singing movement, Sankirtan movement. So we start with this Nadia Godrume Nityananda Mahajan. This is from Nagar Kirtan. The official name is Nagar Kirtan. Agnatahal. Author is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He's from Gitavali, the very famous his book of songs in Bengali. So from today, I want to inaugurate all our Vaishnav Kirtans in our program. So slowly you will find us singing different Vaishnav Kirtans. If you found the philosophy great, oh well, the Kirtans are absolutely ecstatic. And these Kirtans, which have been written by great Acharyas, are non-different than the actual philosophy of Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. You will see this. So this Kirtan is about Lord Nityananda. We'll read the translation. All of us can read one translation at a time. So I'll read first. Jai. Translation. In the land of Nadia, on the island of Godrum, the magnanimous Lord Nityananda has appeared, has opened up the marketplace of the holy name, meant for the deliverance of all fallen souls. Yes, who will be the next, please?
O people of faith, by the order of Lord Gauranga, O brothers, I beg these three requests of you. Chant Krishna, worship Krishna, and teach others about Krishna.
Jai.
Being careful to remain free of offenses. Just take the holy name of Lord Krishna. Krishna is your mother, Krishna is your father, and Krishna is the treasure of your life.
Giving up all sinful activities, carry on your worldly duties only in relation to Lord Krishna. The showing of compassion to other souls by loudly chanting the holy name of Krishna is the essence of all forms of religion.
Jai. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written 2 purports for this song. Please visit the page for the purport. And the purport, the raga is based on Manda style of Dadra Tala. Okay. But we will be singing this in a different tune. It is more of a Western tune. It's a very beautiful tune. So you can mute yourself and I will sing and you can repeat after me. We'll go slowly, but try our level best. Okay. Jai. Shri Nityananda Mahajan Bhagwan ki Jai. I'm not using the kartals, because it may interfere. Just my sang and clapping the hands. And Krishnadas is behind me. He's with the mridanga and he'll be the chorus with all of you. All right, you can follow him when he's along with him. Okay. Nadia Godru mein Nityananda Mahajan. Nadia Godru mein Nityananda Mahajan. অতি আছে নাম হট জীবের কারণ, অতি আছে নাম হট জীবের কারণ, শ্রদ্ধাবান জানে, শ্রদ্ধাবান জানে, শ্রদ্ধাবান জানে, প্রভুর আজ্ঞায় ভাই মাগি এই ভিক্ষা, ভাই মাগি এই ভিক্ষা, প্রভুর আজ্ঞায় ভাই মাগি এই ভিক্ষা, আজ্ঞায় ভাই মাগি এই ভিক্ষা। বলো কৃষ্ণ ভজ কৃষ্ণ করো কৃষ্ণ শিক্ষা, বলো কৃষ্ণ, বলো কৃষ্ণ ভজ কৃষ্ণ করো কৃষ্ণ শিক্ষা। শ্রদ্ধাবান জানে, শ্রদ্ধাবান জানে, শ্রদ্ধাবান জানে, অপরাধ শূন্য হয় লোহ কৃষ্ণ নাম, অপরাধ শূন্য হয় লোহ কৃষ্ণ নাম। কৃষ্ণ মাতা কৃষ্ণ পিতা কৃষ্ণ ধন প্রাণ, কৃষ্ণ মাতা কৃষ্ণ পিতা কৃষ্ণ ধন প্রাণ। শ্রদ্ধাবান জানে, শ্রদ্ধাবান জানে, শ্রদ্ধাবান জানে, কৃষ্ণেরা সংসার করো ছাড়ি অনাচার, কৃষ্ণেরা সংসার করো ছাড়ি অনাচার। जीवे दया कृष्ण नाम सर्वधर्म सार, जीवे दया कृष्ण नाम सर्वधर्म सार। श्रद्धावान जाने, श्रद्धावान जाने, श्रद्धावान जाने, नदिया गोदो में नित्यानंद महाजन, पाति अच्छे नाम हट जीवेर कारण, प्रभुर आज्ञाय भाई मांगिए भिक्षा, प्रभुर आज्ञाय भाई मांगिए भिक्षा। बोलो कृष्ण भजो कृष्ण करो कृष्ण शिक्षा, अपराध शून्य होय लोह कृष्ण नाम। कृष्ण माता कृष्ण पिता कृष्ण धन प्राण, कृष्णेरा संसार कोरो छाड़ी अनाचार, कृष्णेरा संसार कोरो छाड़ी अनाचार। जीवे दया कृष्ण नाम सर्वधर्म सार, कृष्ण नाम सर्वधर्म, जीवे दया कृष्ण नाम सर्वधर्म सार। ओ नदिया गोद्रु में नित्यानंद महाजन, नदिया गोद्रु में नित्यानंद महाजन, नदिया गोद्रु में नित्यानंद महाजन। हरि बोल नदिया गोद्रु में नित्यानंद महाजन। श्रद्धावान जाने, श्रद्धावान जाने, Shraddhavan Jane. Haribo, in the land of Nadia, on the island of Godrum, the magnanimous Lord Nityananda has opened the marketplace of the holy name, Namhata, meant for the deliverance of all fallen souls. O people of faith, O people of faith, by the order of Lord Gauranga, O brothers, I beg these three requests of you. What are the three requests? Chant Krishna, worship Krishna, and teach others about Krishna. Haribo! Being careful to remain free of offenses. Just take the holy name of Lord Krishna. Krishna is your mother, Krishna is your father, and Krishna is a treasure of your life. Giving up all sinful activities, carry on your worldly duties only in relation to Lord Krishna. Showing compassion to others' souls by loudly chanting the holy name of Krishna, the essence of all forms of religion. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki Jai. Lord Nityananda Mahajan Bhagavan ki Jai. So they say you are not qualified to preach. Whose authority are you preaching? Here it is. Nityananda Mahajan himself has started this. His Namhatta program. And then Lord Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur started the whole thing, continued the whole thing. Jai. Hare Krishna. Now we are very happy, very satisfied. So now let us start with the realizations of the senior devotees. Hare Krishna. Who would like to go first? Please feel free. Thank you, Krishnadas. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Was it nice? Was it nice? I thought it was great. I don't know how much voice came, but I was in ecstasy there. Everybody, very well. Yes.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees.
Hare Krishna. Yes, please continue.
Thank you, Amrish Prabhu, for giving us an opportunity to give our realization on the auspicious day of Lord Nityananda Appearance Day. My realization, I have taken some from the book of the Srila Prabhupada's The Godhead, February 1975, and some of the Srila Prabhupada's lecture in Bhubaneswar in 1977. So Srila Prabhupada says in Back to Godhead that 500 years ago, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appeared in West Bengal in the role of his own pure devotee, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya is considered the most magnificent incarnation of Godhead because he made love for Krishna, and it was easily available through chanting the Mahamantra, that is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. When Lord Krishna appeared as Lord Chaitanya, his principal associate in spreading the Krishna consciousness movement was Lord Chaitanya's expansion. In other words, he is none different from Lord Chaitanya. The same Supreme Lord appeared in a different forms as Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda to bestow mercy upon the fallen souls of the material world. Then further, I got a realization reading from Srila Prabhupada's lecture in Bhubaneswar, where Srila Prabhupada said Srila Prabhupada actually given a very nice example about the nice song sung by Narottam Das Thakur. So I will not read the song, but what Srila Prabhupada mentioned there is that Srila Prabhupada advises, Narottam Das Thakur, he advises that Nitai Pat, the lotus feet of the Lord Nityananda, are shelter where one will get the soothing moonlight, not only of one, but the millions of moons. In this material world, everyone is struggling hard without finding a peace. Therefore, if the world wants to have real peace, it should take shelter under the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. If one actually wants to extinguish the blazing fire of material pangs, one should take shelter of Lord Nityananda. Further, Narottam Das Thakur says, those who accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord Nityananda will be very easy to approach Radha Krishna. Anyone who has got contacted and a relationship with Nityananda Prabhu is understood to have spoiled. Anyone who has not contacted a relationship with Nityananda Prabhu is understood to have spoiled his human life, human birth rather. Therefore, this is my relation. Therefore, I'm very fortunate enough to having association with Namhata devotees under the leadership of Amrish Prabhu and involved in the Krishna consciousness for more than 6-7 years. So I'm sometimes, most of the good messages comes through Srila Prabhupada, through Amrish Prabhu, which I'll recite that one on the last. But in the meanwhile, in Adilila, chapter 13, verse 124, Srila Prabhupada says that Narodas Thakur says, my real riches are Nityananda Prabhu, none other than his lotus feet of Sri Radha and Krishna. And further, he prays that, oh Lord, kindly give me this opulence. I don't want anything but the lotus feet as my property. When the devotee develops his love for Nityananda Prabhu, he is freed from all attachment to the material world, and at that time, he becomes eligible to understand the Lord's pastime in Vrindavan. There's also one always Amrish Prabhu, and I read Srila Prabhupada's lecture as well, that the story of, it's a real story of the Mahaprabhu when Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur, when they served door to door on the message of the Lord Chaitanya Prabhu. So at that point, they met when Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Prabhu, they see the two brothers, Jagai and Madai. And Jagai and Madai, they were in drunken state, and they were doing the havoc in that particular village. Nityananda Prabhu, he felt compassion for them, knowing that they are the fallen souls. Reason, it should be rectified. So Mahaprabhu's mission was to become even more well received in Navadvip. So knowing that, Nityananda Prabhu approached the two brothers in the street and begged them that to chant the holy name of Krishna and taste the sweet nectar of Krishna consciousness. But instead of that, the two villains just chased Nityananda Prabhu particularly, and shouting and calling them with the bad names. Further, Madhai threw the broken clay pot and crashing down the Nityananda Prabhu's divine head, causing him to bleed. After knowing, when Mahaprabhu heard that what happened, he became very furious and rushed to the area. And he could anyone harm? How Mahaprabhu said, how could anyone can harm the gentle soul like Nityananda Prabhu? And one stage he was very flaming and radiant, and he prepared to kill both of them with his Sudarshan Chakra. But Nityananda Prabhu reminded him that the majority of the people of this village are as fallen as these two, Jagai and Madhai. So having this request by the Nityananda Prabhu, finally Chaitanya Prabhu forgiven them. And those Jagai and Madhai, they saw that the love between Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu, and they surrender, and they become they become the supporter of the Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement. So this is my realization. But as I mentioned, that most of the time very good messages through Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev we get, but sometimes we ignore, and sometimes we get, through Amrish Prabhu, one email came that was, I think, 6-7 years before. I ignore it, but later on, through one of our senior devotee, when he gave his realization, then I realized that, and since then, at least I think last 4-5 years, I'm reciting those names of Nityananda Prabhu. Srila Prabhupada says that who recite these auspicious holy names of the Nityananda Prabhu, they become free from all difficulties and most cherished desire. Very soon they become the object of the Lord Chaitanya. And yes, since I reciting those names, auspicious name every day in the morning, I have never ever had any difficulties. I must have had, but I never come across that. I must have ignored it, or maybe with the chanting the holy names, it's a sustain. So those holy names I would like to recite here as well before ending my small realization. The names are Nityananda, Avadhutendu, Vasudha Pranavallabha, Janavi Jivitapati, Krishna Prema Prada, Prabhu Padmavati Sut, Sriman Sachinandan Purvaja, Bhavonmata, Jakatatrata, Rakta Gaur Kale Vara. Jai. This is my reaction. Hare Krishna. Nityananda Prabhu ki Jai.
Jai. Hare Krishna. Very nice. Very nice. So every year we glorify Lord Nityananda Prabhu, and we glorify Shita Prabhu also, He's the one, he's the impetus for these prayers,
Yes. Yes.
and believe you me, it is so powerful.
It is powerful, Prabhuji. Yes, this is my experience.
Yeah, first thing in the morning, you wake up, fold your hand and sing this prayer, and that's it. Done. You're sorted.
Definitely.
To you, Prabhuji, actually, who shared the prayer.
Right.
Yes, credit goes to Amrish Prabhu, definitely.
Not really. Somebody who sent it to me, I sent it to you people, But good, you really remembered it, and everybody's remembering it. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we started off, I think, very auspiciously with Nadiyama Godrume Nityananda Mahajan, I just wish if we don't have this, when we are physically present, we could have danced there, It is a marketplace of the holy names. But anyway, we danced here, and now we are giving realizations, talking about Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Okay, who would like to be the next? Thank you, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you, Sopan Prabhu, for sharing your nice realization on the occasion of this auspicious day. And thank you, Amrish Prabhu, for organizing the program and giving us the chance to share our realization. So, so I written some one realization that I want to share. First of all, Nityananda Ram ki jai. So, Lord Nityananda Prabhu appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's principal associate for spreading the congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. He appeared in 1474 in the village of Ekachakra in West Bengal, India, as the son of Padmavati and Hadai Pandit. So Lord Nityananda is incarnation of Lord Balaram. And on this auspicious day, we celebrate in remembrance of Lord Nityananda's glories and his pastimes. So there is a song written by Srila Narottam Das Thakur and translation by Srila Prabhupada. I will just read just the first para of the song, title called Nitai Pad Kamala, the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Nitai Pad Kamala Koti Chandra Susitala Je Chaye Jagata Jurai Haino Nitai Bine Bhai Radha Krishna Paite Nai Dridra Kori Dharo Nitair Pai. Translation: the lotus feet of Sri Nityananda are as cool as millions of moons. The whole universe gets peace by the shade of those lotus feet. Without the mercy of Sri Nityananda, nobody can get Radha Krishna, the aim of human life. Therefore, catch hold of the two lotus feet of Sri Nityananda Prabhu very tightly. So as here said that without the mercy of Lord Nityananda, we cannot get Radha Krishna. We have to go through Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda is original Guru Tattva. Without spiritual master, we cannot come to bhakti. We receive bhakti lata beej from our spiritual master. So we sing in Guru Puja, Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adhara Janara Bandhu. Guru is an ocean of mercy, and Nityananda Prabhu is Adi Guru. So Guru of all Gurus. Certainly such a Guru always has his merciful glance on everyone. Srila Prabhupada is representative of Lord Nityananda and spreading the message of Mahaprabhu all over the world. So when we preaching, we always preach on behalf of our disciplic succession. And Lord Nityananda is original Guru. So Srila Prabhupada said once that Lord Nityananda's mercy has no limit. I was watching Prabhupada's memories, and His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj was sharing this memory that when they were going around Bombay to collect Lakshmi for building the temple in Vrindavan, and the devotee who's driving them around named Chaitya Guru, after a while, this devotee somehow thought going on himself and in spirituality, and started associating with this bogus yogi named Bhogi Yogi, who was teaching putting coin into one ear and taking the coin from other ear. And this devotee gone independent and collecting also. So His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami asked Srila Prabhupada that, and make aware of our members about this person. But Srila Prabhupada was a bit hesitant to do so because Srila Prabhupada was not giving up on this devotee. But after a while, when this devotee started to living with this Bhogi Yogi and try to learn this coin passing trick, His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami said to Srila Prabhupada that now this is the limit and this is the end. He is finished. But Srila Prabhupada looked in his eyes and said, "You do not know about the Lord Nityananda's mercy." Then His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami asked, "Why Srila Prabhupada?" Then Srila Prabhupada said, "Because there is no end to Lord Nityananda's forgiveness." Later on, that devotee came back and Srila Prabhupada gave him sannyas also, although he went away, but still on spiritual path. But the point is that Srila Prabhupada clearly said that there is no limit to Lord Nityananda's forgiveness and compassion. Srila Prabhupada is the manifest representative of Nityananda Prabhu. And Srila Prabhupada's mercy is also limitless. So in preaching, we never give up on devotees because someone has never given up on me. This is the flow of mercy of Lord Nityananda, which we can experience through our disciplic succession and our senior devotees and our mentors. So in the pastime of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 17, verse 17, Lord delivered these two brothers, Jagai and Madhai, and Sopan Prabhu nicely narrated that story also, that pastime, that they were two brothers born in Navdvip in a respectable Brahmana family, but later, because addicted to all kinds of sinful activities, by the order of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, both Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur used to preach Krishna consciousness door to door. And doing that preaching, they found Jagai and Madhai, two madden drunken brothers, who upon seeing them began to chase them. Madhai struck Nityananda Prabhu on the head with the piece of earthen pot, and thus drawing blood. By hearing this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately came to the spot and ready to punish both brothers. But when the repentant of their behavior and mercy of Lord Nityananda, Lord made them devotee and delivered them. So here we can see that Lord Nityananda has no limit of forgiveness and compassion. In Kali Yuga, or in current world, this whole world is full of Jagai and Madhais. This age of Kali is full of hypocrisy and quarrel. I am also got these tendencies and want to pray to Lord Nityananda for forgiveness and his mercy. Srila Narottam Das Thakur says, Ha ha Prabhu Nityananda, Paramananda Sukhi, Kripa Lokan Karo Ami Baro Dukhi. My dear Lord Nityananda, you are always joyful in spiritual bliss. Since you always appear very happy, I have come to you because I am most unhappy. If you kindly put your glance over me, I may also become happy. Jai, Lord Nityananda Ram ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
I remember watching that realization by Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhupada. That was, yeah, I watched that again and it was, yeah, quite interesting.
And it's very good. We should also never give up on devotees, you know.
Yes,
It takes
Prabhupada.
gallons of blood. So any preacher, you know, don't interfere with the preacher. Don't mess with the preacher. Because if he's given gallons of blood, your blood will be taken out sometime. Hare Krishna. Very nice, very nice. Please continue. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I thought Sridhar Prabhu or Krishna Prabhu will take the chance, but okay. Only they want me to speak. So I will try to share my realization. So thank you, Amrish Prabhu, for the opportunity you give, the platform you create, the atmosphere you create, everything. And thank you, Sopan Prabhu, for your heartfelt realizations, and Sanjeev Prabhu, your scholarly and practical realizations. So when I was focusing on this day, when I got this information from Amrish Prabhu that we have to share our realizations, it was very late. But I thought, okay, what we can speak. And there is so much in our scriptures, and we hear from devotees and Srila Prabhupada. And wherever we go, there's so much about Lord Nityananda and his limitless pastimes, and he's actually expansion of Krishna. There are a couple of differences, otherwise he's as good as Krishna. And he's the main Guru Tattva, But this time I thought I'll focus on the Lord Nityananda, the embodiment of compassion, which probably I tend to not realize this, that how actually things happen. And in this situation, I will probably go on to scriptures, and I've written some notes from here and there. And then I'll come to Bhagavatam and share some slokas where it talks about the compassion side, the mercy side, which actually comes from Lord Nityananda directly. So there is no other story that showcases the boundless mercy of Lord Nityananda, whose appearance day we are celebrating today. Nityananda Prabhu was the closest associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the founder of Gaudiya Vaishnavism and an avatar of none other than Krishna himself, who spread the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra as the most effective way to reach God during the 14th and 15th century in West Bengal, which is very nicely, Amrish Prabhu actually has already in a nutshell given the full information that actually what was happening. Even as devotees, now coming back to our situation, who are practicing Krishna consciousness, who are actually how like Amrish Prabhu just said, and devotees share, that preacher or a person who is preaching, never give up, come what may, if he is a preacher. And if he is giving up, means. So for people like us, even as devotees, we may struggle in different ways, even if only with our minds and with the material energy this modern world is permeated with, as it folds in on us and tries to crush us. We may feel as if we will never achieve the pure love of God, the selflessness, the servitude of pure devotee, as if there is no hope for us. But we should know that Lord Nityananda is there for us and will always be there for us. He does not judge us, and he sees everyone as being essentially pure lovers of God, simply covered over. So that's our situation. Lord Nityananda is the Son. As the Saint Srila Narottam Das Thakur writes, Sri Nityananda Prabhu is the sum total of all gurus. Without his mercy, no one can attain Sri Radha and Krishna. Further, Srila Prabhupada's Guru Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj writes in his magazine Harmonist, individual souls are under the direction of Nityananda, of Sri Gaur Sundar, that is Krishna, at his hands. So if we are at a dark time in our lives, which we are with hurricane and COVID, if we need a friend who will love and help us, so no matter what, or if we are simply struggling against our minds and the needs, push towards Krishna, let us pray to Nityananda Prabhu, the embodiment of compassion. Now, how a devotee feels the compassion and what our scriptures talks about. We know that everything started from Nityananda, Lord Balaram, first expansion. And even Bhagavatam is coming from him. And the messages we get about Bhagavatam, that is also coming, that is also through some guru or some spiritual master or some disciplic successor, is also somewhere Nityananda Prabhu is into it. So when I was reading, started thinking about this compassion side to the devotees, then the second verse of Bhagavatam, first verse we know, it is all about Krishna, Janmadiyasya. It is all about Krishna. The second verse, which is actually covers about what Bhagavatam does, where it talks about material miseries, and which is a very nice verse. And then few points I've highlighted, that how the compassion actually flows. I'm focusing only on that part. It's a very elaborate and a lot of information is there. So I'll quickly go and read that verse. Dharmaha projito kaitavya paramo nirma saranam satam vedyam vastavam atra vastu shivadam tapatrayo namulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim Vapere Ishvaraha Sadyo Hridi Avaruddhayate Atra Kirtibhi Shushusubhisa Takshana. So in this verse, I'll go translation, but there's a word called Shivadam. Shivadam is well-being, where the actual, we feel that Bhagavatam is for well-being of the devotees of the mankind. The translation is completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated. This Bhagavad Puran propounds the highest truth which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. So this message is only for devotees who are pure in heart. Any contamination, the Bhagavatam will not go into head. They think that it may, but the highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. So that's what I wanted to highlight, the welfare of, the highest truth is the reality distinguished from the illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. So that's where the compassion part is coming into the picture. That's how the Bhagavatam is actually started. And that's coming from none other than Nityananda Prabhu and his plenary expansions. This beautiful Bhagavatam compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity is sufficient in self for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by the culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within his heart. So that's what happens when, and that's what coming from Guru Tattva. That's how we are getting that Bhagavatam is actually coming from Lord Nityananda. And the goal is how we come out of this three material miseries. Now there is a big purport, but I have only highlighted few where I can actually discuss about the compassion side, because that's very important to realize that how this, for a particular who is actually aiming to preach, who is aiming to actually, and you know, preaching is not easy. So in the translation and in the purport, Prabhupada writes, and I've also cut paste, in the material world, everyone is envious of everyone else. That is the reason for our miseries. In the material world, everyone is envious of everyone else, and therefore there is competition. But the transcendental devotees of the Lord are not only free from material envy, but are well-wisher to everyone. So that is compassion from the true devotees. The transcendental devotees of the Lord are not only free from material envy, but are well-wishers to everyone. And they strive to establish a competition-less society with God in the center. That's Guru Tattva. The contemporary socialist conception of a competition-less society is artificial, because in the social state, there is no competition for the post of dictator. So Prabhupada giving a differentiating also that how this Guru Tattva or the mercy coming from Lord Nityananda is different from this same kind of system they're trying to copy in the modern world. Further, Prabhupada writes, development of the transcendental consciousness grounded in the conception of simultaneously one and different leads one immediate to the stage of freedom from threefold material miseries. So this is what happens when we get into this. And what are those three miseries are? The threefold material miseries are those miseries which arise from the mind and body, those miseries inflicted by other living beings, and those miseries arising from the natural catastrophes over which one has no control. I don't know where COVID going to. It is a man-created or the catastrophic situation, but that's not the point of discussion. The point of discussion is that how this mercy is coming through Bhagavatam, and Bhagavatam is coming through Lord Balaram, Lord Nityananda, because it is for preaching. That's how we get into the true love of Krishna, and that's how we understand. Now, this is Bhagavatam situation. Now we talk about the pure devotee. How a pure devotee actually does or not does. How a pure devotee actually acts and how they do things when this compassion side is come, which is coming from none other than Lord Nityananda. So this is again very famous verse, and this is also from Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse number 3, where Karuna words come. And I remember listening this verse first time from Amrish Prabhu, as we all do. So this verse is whether Suta Goswami is glorifying Shrila Shukdev Goswami about his compassion side, that why he has done this, why he actually recited Bhagavatam, and Prabhupada writes in the initial part of purport that this is actually Bhagavatam in nutshell. So I'll quickly recite that verse. Yah svanubhava akhila shruti saramekam. Yah svanubhavam akhila shruti saramekam. Adhyatma deepam atitishtitam tamo andham. Sansarinam karunaya purana guhyam. Tam vyasa sunum upayami guru muninam. So Sansarinam karunaya purana guhyam. And somehow, somewhere, we are also trying to get into preaching and glorify Krishna, glorify Lord Nityananda, glorify Vaishnavas. So that's the mood. That's what it is. And I quickly read the translation because I wanted to focus on this Karuna side, the mercy side, the compassion side. So in this Yah, he who, so anubhavam, self-assimilated, that experienced, akhila, all around, Shruti, the Vedas, Saram, cream, Ekam, the only one, Adhyatma, transcendental, Deepam, torchlight, Atitishtatam, desiring to overcome, Tama Andham, deeply dark material existence, Sansarinam, of the materialistic man, Karunaya, out of causeless mercy. Karuna means out of causeless mercy. Aha, said, Puran, supplement to the Vedas, Guhyam, very confidential. Tam, unto him, Vyas Sunum, the son of Vyasdeva, Upayami, let me offer my obeisances, Gurum, the spiritual master, Muninam, of the great sages. So this entire verse is all about causeless mercy. He who self-assimilated, experienced all around the Vedas, cream, the only one, transcendental, torchlight, desiring to overcome, deeply dark material existence of the materialistic men, out of causeless mercy, said, supplement to the Vedas, very confidential, unto him, the son of Vyasdev, let me offer my obeisances, the spiritual master of the great sages. So this verse is actually talking about how do we come out of those threefold material miseries. And I will conclude on that with my realization. Translation, let me offer my respectful obeisance unto him, Shuk, the spiritual master of all sages, the son of Vyasdev, who out of his great compassion for those gross materialists who struggle to cross over the darkest regions of material existence, spoke this confidential supplement to the cream of Vedic knowledge after having personally assimilated it by experience. So again, this verse is for those out of his great compassion for those gross materialistics who struggle to cross over the darkest region of material existence. Otherwise, anybody other than this, I think actually everyone is struggling. This is the only way when that is through our disciplic succession, that same message is coming from Lord Balaram, Lord Nityananda, and Shukdev Goswami here, and which is nothing but actually compassion, that they actually know that we are struggling in the material world. And I'm talking about the devotees who are trying to preach. So in this purport, Prabhupada very nicely writes about those who are actually those who don't understand this, particularly in context of Mayavadis. In fact, there are groups who actually have not realized or not recognized Bhagavatam also. The Prabhupada will briefly write about them, and he has written about them. The envious Mayavadi cannot have access to the Bhagavatam, but those who are really anxious to get out of this material existence may take shelter of this Bhagavatam, because it is uttered by the liberated Srila Sukadeva Goswami. It is the transcendental torchlight by which one can see perfectly the transcendent absolute truth, realized as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So, for a devotee like us who is practicing Krishna consciousness, who's trying to understand this, and for them, they can feel the compassion side of Lord Nityananda, and that's what I felt, and I thought I must share, because we sometimes tend to not realize, or even if we realize in our own way, and that is where, when we meditate on Lord Nityananda by doing those prayers, that his entire existence was to serve Krishna, nothing else. And his mood was same. And we are just trying to understand this through Bhagavatam and through our disciplic succession, Shukdev Goswami and Lord Nityananda. So I thought I must highlight that how I felt about the compassion side of it. That's my relation. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Avinash Prabhu. Yes, if preachers don't give compassion, what will happen to people? It's not that sadhus come for classes to become Krishna conscious. All Jagas and Madhas, rogues only come, and they come with a rogue mind, Somebody showed compassion on us, so we follow, we continue. Jai, Jai. Yes, please continue. Hare Krishna. Because slowly I'll be giving and talking about some very different aspects of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, which are very, very interesting, which are a little closed, not so readily available. You'll be very surprised to know about him and his activities. Please continue. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you, Avinash Prabhu, Sanjeev Prabhu, and Sopan Prabhu for your very nice realizations. And thank you, Amrish Prabhu, for actually organizing this program, and actually giving us opportunity to share our realization on the appearance day of Lord Shri Nityananda Prabhu, which is tomorrow. So, Shri Lord Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Vande Nantad Bhutaishwaryam Shri Nityanandam Ishwaram Yashe Chayatat Swarupam Aja Nenapi Nirupyate. Let me offer my obeisances to Lord Shri Nityananda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose opulence is wonderful and unlimited. By his will, even a fool can understand his identity. So, Lord Shri Nityananda Prabhu, as actually devotees already actually spoke, So it's rarely, as it is said, that rarely the name of Nitai, Nimai, is taken without a Nitai. So, as we take name of Krishna, we always take up name of Lord Balram as well. So, Shri Nityananda Prabhu is eternal associate of Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and eternal associate of Lord Krishna as Lord Balram. So, and it is very nicely explained in Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita. There is very little difference between Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda Prabhu. The only main difference is Lord Nityananda Prabhu is always engaged in serving Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Shri Krishna as a Sheshna, or as all the expansion they actually coming from Lord Nityananda Prabhu or Lord Balram, as we have all studied. So that actually that quality of actually serving Krishna is very, very important. And that is actually what we're trying to learn, as we actually try to walk this path of actually Bhakti Yoga. And we're learning the instruction given to us, as Amrish Prabhu has taught us, the instruction of Srila Gurudev and Srila Prabhupada. And everyone is trying to actually become Krishna conscious. And what does that mean? As it is said here, by his will, even a fool can understand his identity. So actually we are trying hard to actually realize who we are. This is very easy to say that I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul. But actually realizing this is a whole different scenario. When I didn't realize, actually we say we know, we have the information that we are spirit soul, but we are not acting according to that actually constitutional position as the eternal servitor. So unless we have the mercy of a Vaishnava, we cannot able to actually achieve this. And here it is said, by his will, even a fool, can understand his identity. So I have realized that actually I'm that fool, because all this year I have wasted my life actually just doing the material things. But with the mercy of the Vaishnavas now, and actually fortunately I got in touch with this Hare Krishna weekend program, that actually we are getting this opportunity to learn about our Guru Shish Parampara and Shri Radha Krishna. And actually, I didn't know much about actually Lord Shri Nityananda Prabhu until last few years. Actually, when I actually started coming to this program, I heard a lot about Shri Radha Krishna, but Lord Nityananda Prabhu, actually we got to know, just few years back. We heard the name. We heard, actually, I hear quite a lot about Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but Lord Nityananda Prabhu is very, very important personality. As actually Sopan Prabhu already shared the realization that actually when Amrish Prabhu actually circulated this email with the 12 holy names of Lord Shri Nityananda Prabhu, one should recite early in the morning. And as it is stated in that prayer, actually if you recite that, then you will actually get the mercy of Lord Shri Nityananda Prabhu. And you can able to actually all your difficulties in your devotional path can disappear. And with his mercy, you can actually able to realize, your real identity. So actually, I was meditating on this point as well, that actually how much that prayer has helped me. And I came across this actually very wonderful song written by Sri Narottam Das Thakur. I think Sopan Prabhu also mentioned that song. And Sri Narottam Das Thakur written this song. It's called Nitaya Pad Kamal. And when I read the translation, it is very instructive. So I do not know the actual meter how to sing, but I will read. So please bear with me. Nitaya Pad Kamala Koti Chandra Susitala Je Chayaya Jagatau Jure Heno Nitaya Bine Bhai Radha Krishna Paite Nai Dirdha Kori Dharo Niter Pai. The lotus feet of Sri Nityananda are as cool as millions of moons. The whole universe gets peace by the shade of those lotus feet. Without the mercy of Sri Nityananda, nobody can get Radha and Krishna, the aim of human life. Therefore, catch hold of the two lotus feet of Sri Nityananda Prabhu very tightly. Se sambandha nahi jar, pritha janma gelotar, se pashu bodo durachar. Nitai na bolilo mukhe, majilo samsar sukhe, vidya kule ki koriba tar. One who has not established a relationship with Sri Nityananda is a two-legged animal, a great beast. His whole life is finished. He cannot be called a human being. He never utters the name of Sri Nityananda. He is always immersed in enjoying material happiness and has forgotten Sri Nitai. He may have acquired all material scholarship and learning, but what is the value of such education? This will never help. Ahankare mata hoiya nitai pada pasariya Asataire Satya Korimani, Nitayera Karuna Habe, Praje Radha Krishna Pabe, Dharo Nitaya Charana Dukkhani. They are so puffed up with their mundane education and scholarship, they are never humble at all. They have forgotten the lotus feet of Sri Nitya because of their false ego and pride. They are completely under the clutches of Maya. They accept the untruth as truth. If Sri Nityananda showers his mercy upon someone, he will get Sri Radha Krishna in a Vrajabhumi. So catch hold of the two lotus feet of Lord Nityananda very tightly. Nitayera Charana Satya, Tanahara Sevaka Nitya, Nitaya Pada Sada Koro Asha, Narottama Bodo Dukhi, Nitaya More Karo Sukhi, Rakho Ranga Charanera Pasha. The lotus feet of Sri Nityananda are eternally true, and those followers or the servant of those lotus feet of Sri Nityananda are also eternal. Always aspire for the lotus feet of Sri Nityananda. Srila Narottam Das Thakur says, I am very distressed and I am an unhappy person. I am drowning in the dreadful ocean of material existence. O Sri Nityananda Prabhu, please make me very happy. Please keep me at your lotus feet. Jai, Srila Prabhupada ji ki jai. So, Srila Prabhupada also given nice purport on this song. And I really, I love the translation, way this song is written. And it's very instructive. And what I understood, actually the importance of the lotus feet of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, it is compared to the coolness of millions of moons, which gives the shade to the entire universe. So if you want to really become Krishna conscious, or we want to serve Shri Radha Krishna, then I think we cannot able to achieve that aim without the mercy of Lord Shri Nityananda. Just like we cannot able to serve Krishna without the mercy of Srimati Radharani, Nityananda Prabhu is equally important, And it is said that there is no bound to Lord Nityananda Prabhu's mercy, Is so merciful. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is called the most munificent incarnation, Lord Nityananda Prabhu is equally merciful. And without his mercy, there is no chance for us to understand Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it is important to establish our relationship with Shri Nityananda Prabhu. The person who does not utter Shri Nityananda Prabhu's name is compared to the two-legged animal here. So one should always, as that prayer, now in our program, everybody recite that prayer. That is a glorification of 12 names of Lord Shri Nityananda Prabhu. And that prayer is so powerful, When I got that email, I have shared this before as well, from Amrish Prabhu. And it was written, the translation, if you read, one who recites this prayer, early in the morning, all his difficulties, will disappear, and all his cherished desires will be fulfilled. When I read that, means I thought, is that so? If you just recite this prayer early in the morning, is that really going to happen? So I thought, means okay. Amrish always said, you have to test your faith. If you hear the instruction, you should test it yourself. So I thought, okay, I will test this and see, what difference does that make. So I started reciting. Initially it was a bit hard for me because it is in even I couldn't able to recite properly. But I started reciting, and slowly I memorized it. And to my surprise, I realized after a few months that it helped me to overcome a lot of obstacles, that I was struggling with. So I used to recite and I used to pray. Amrish always said, you should always pray to Guru Maharaj and Shri Radha Krishna. So I also started praying to Lord Nityananda Prabhu as well. And it is my personal realization that if you come across the some problems or obstacle in your devotional service, no matter how hard it is, if you pray sincerely, accepting your flaws, Lord Shri Nityananda Prabhu will always show you the way or gives the solution. or those things will automatically actually will be solved for you. So that is my realization, and we should actually strengthen my faith in that prayer. So actually, even I don't know about Lord Shri Nityananda Prabhu, by just reciting that prayer, reciting the names of Lord Shri Nityananda Prabhu, you actually got that mercy. So even I'm not qualified, still, actually, Lord Shri Nityananda Prabhu actually, give the mercy. So it is very true that there is no bound to actually the mercy of Lord Shri Nityananda Prabhu. So it's very, very important, very, very important personality. And actually, we should all actually recite these names early in the morning. And I'm pretty sure that it will help your devotional service. So actually, that is the most important realization. And this actually, the song actually written by Sri Narottam Das Thakur is actually along the same lines, actually, So unless we get caught up the two lotus feet of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, we're not able to actually progress on this path of devotional service. We cannot able to actually do it on our own. We cannot actually rely on our intelligence to understand all this instruction, or because we are in this material world, we are always under the illusion and Maya. So it is very hard to actually implement all the instruction, but actually, if you take shelter of the lotus feet of our disciplic succession, all the Vaishnavas and Nityananda Prabhu, I think definitely we will actually, make progress. So that is my realization. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Shri Prabhu. So always pray to Lord Nityananda for spiritual benefit, not material gains. It's a wrong way to approach.
Yes, Prabhuji, yes.
No, I'm sure you're doing. I'm just making a statement for everyone. Hare Krishna. Okay. Please continue.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you all very much for your very nice realizations on this tomorrow, the auspicious day of Lord Nityananda's appearance day. Lord Nityananda ki jai, Hare Krishna. So very inspiring and very insightful to hear all of you talk about Lord Nityananda. It was a very, very important part of our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. So my realization on this auspicious occasion is actually how Lord Nityananda is an embodiment of the pure devotee, and of how one should look at preaching, even in a contemporary environment. How we look at Lord Nityananda's example for preaching. So I've just also taken a few references from Srila Prabhupada's books. So as we've all mentioned, that Lord Nityananda is actually very merciful. And his distinct quality of Lord Nityananda is that he is merciful even to the most sinful people in all forms of life. So Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, verse 15. So I'll just read the verse in the translation, and I'll go to the particular section of the purport in which Srila Prabhupada talks about Lord Nityananda's mercy. So the verse is, I'm sure a lot of you know this verse because it's quoted by Srila Prabhupada many times. Namam duskritino mudha prapadyante naradhamaha maya ya parhata gnana asuram bhavam ashritaha. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is explaining, what type of miscreants these people are, and who are defining, what it means to be, these things. So a particular word that Srila Prabhupada is explaining is the word naradhama, which means the lowest among mankind. And it's a very, very apt example of Lord Nityananda's mercy here, because Srila Prabhupada says, when the whole population becomes naradhama, or lowest among mankind, naturally all their so-called education is made null and void by the all-powerful energy of physical nature. or Maya. According to the standard of the Gita, a learned man is he who sees on equal terms the learned Brahman, the dog, the cow, the elephant, and the dog eater. That is the vision of a true devotee. Sri Nityananda Prabhu, who is the incarnation of Godhead as Divine Master, delivered the typical Naradhamas, or the lowest among mankind, in the form of the brothers Jagai and Madhai, and showed how the mercy of a real devotee is bestowed upon the lowest of mankind. So the Naradhama, who is condemned by the personality of Godhead, can again revive his spiritual consciousness only by the mercy of a devotee. So for most of us, most of the devotees who have been here for a while know about the pastimes of Jagai and Madhai, but a few of us may be asking that what exactly this pastime is and how that shows Lord Nityananda's mercy. So I think it'll be a bit apt. It won't take too long, but I'll just quickly read a summary of the actual pastime of Jagai and Madhai. So once Nityananda Prabhu and Srila Haridas Thakur were walking down a main road, and on the way they saw a roaring crowd assembled. Upon inquiring from passerbys, they understood that two brothers, Jagai and Madhai, were creating a public disturbance in a drunken state. They also heard that these two brothers were born in a respectful Brahmin family, but because of low association, they had turned into debauchees of the worst type. They were not only drunkards, but also meat eaters, women hunters, dacoits, and sinners of all description. Srila Nityananda Prabhu heard of all these stories and decided that these two fallen souls must be the first to be delivered. So here we can see already that Lord Nityananda, Srila Nityananda Prabhu is so merciful that even the lowest among the low, he wants to deliver, or he wants for them to come into contact with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or Lord Krishna. So if they were delivered from their sinful life, then the good name of Lord Chaitanya would be even still more glorified. Thinking in this way, Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas pushed their way through the crowd and asked the two brothers to chant the holy name of Lord Hari. The drunken brothers became enraged upon this request and attacked Nityananda Prabhu with filthy language. Both brothers chased them a considerable distance. In the evening, the report of the preaching work was submitted to the Lord, and he was glad to learn that Nityananda and Haridas had attempted to deliver such a stupid pair of fellows. The next day, Nityananda Prabhu went to see the brothers, so he went again. And as soon as he approached them, one of them threw a piece of earthen pot at him. This struck him on the forehead, and immediately blood began to flow. We can understand that, just how low or how fallen these two brothers were, that they threw a pot at Lord Nityananda, and his head started to bleed. But Nityananda Prabhu was so kind that instead of protesting this heinous act, he said, "It does not matter that you have thrown the stone at me. I still request you to chant the holy name of Lord Hari." Just see. One of the brothers, Jagai, was astonished to see this behavior of Nityananda Prabhu, and he at once fell down at his feet and asked him to pardon his sinful brother. But when Madhai attempted to hurt Nityananda Prabhu again, Jagai stopped him and implored him to fall down at his feet. In the meantime, the news of Nityananda's injury reached the Lord, who at once hurried to the spot in a fiery and angry mood. The Lord immediately invoked his Sudarshan Chakra to kill the sinners, but Nityananda Prabhu reminded him of his mission. The mission of the Lord was to deliver the hopelessly fallen souls of Kali Yuga, and the brothers Jagai and Madhai were typical examples of these fallen souls. 90% of the population of this age resembles these brothers, despite high birth and mundane respectability. According to the verdict of the real scriptures, the total population of the world in this age will be of the lowest Shudra quality or even lower. When the Lord was invoking his Sudarshan Chakra and Srila Nityananda Prabhu was imploring him to forgive the two brothers, both the brothers fell down at the lotus feet of the Lord and begged his pardon for the gross behavior. The Lord was also asked by Nityananda Prabhu to accept these repenting souls, and the Lord agreed to accept them on one condition, that they henceforward completely give up all their sinful activities and habits of debauchery. Both the brothers agreed and promised to give up all their sinful habits, and the kind Lord accepted them and did not again refer to their past misdeeds. So here we can see that even Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to kill Jagai and Madhai. He could not take the fact that they insulted Lord Nityananda. But yet Lord Nityananda Prabhu was so merciful that despite this action happening to him, he still convinced the Lord to give them mercy. And he reminded the Lord about his mission. That is the mercy of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, and that is the inspiration that we should take when we, in a smaller extent, obviously, when we're talking to other people, when we're trying to propagate the Sankirtan Yagna in whatever capacity we have with our friends, with our family, with our colleagues, that whatever they say, that we have that comfort of Lord Nityananda's mercy, that actually this is something by which Lord Nityananda will be very pleased by. So I also thought that this example of mercy of Lord Nityananda, I thought it might be very nice to go ahead and explain the nature of Lord Nityananda as a preacher and as a pure devotee. And Srila Prabhupada very, very nicely explains the nature of Lord Nityananda as a pure devotee of the Lord, and someone that we must surrender unto when we try and practice Krishna consciousness and preaching. So this is the Srimad Bhagavatam chapter 2 verse 8 text 6 with a very nice purport. So once again I'll read the verse and the translation once, and I'll read the purport. Dhautatma Purushaha Krishna Padamulam na munchati Mukta Sarva Parikleshaha Pantaha Sva Sharanam Yatha. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. A pure devotee of the Lord, whose heart has once been cleansed by the process of devotional service, never relinquishes the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, for they fully satisfy him, as a traveler is satisfied at home after a troubled journey.
Krishna, something happened. We can't hear you. You froze. Hold on.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, all good, all good. Please continue.
Did I get to the end of the translation, or should I repeat it again? I'll repeat it again. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. A pure devotee of the Lord, whose heart has once been cleansed by the process of devotional service, never relinquishes the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, for they fully satisfy him, as a traveler is satisfied at home after a troubled journey. So the purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. One who is not a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord Krishna is not completely cleansed in the heart. But a perfectly cleansed person never quits the devotional service of the Lord. In discharging such devotional service, as ordered by Brahmaji to Narad in the preaching of Srimad Bhagavatam, sometimes a representative of the Lord engaged in preaching work meets various so-called difficulties. Now, this is a very important point. This was exhibited by Lord Nityananda when he delivered the two fallen souls, Jagai and Madhai. And similarly, Lord Jesus Christ was crucified by the non-believers. But such difficulties are very gladly suffered by the devotees in preaching, because in such activities, although apparently very severe, the devotees of the Lord feel transcendental pleasure because the Lord is satisfied. Prahlad Maharaj suffered greatly, but still he never forgot the lotus feet of the Lord. This is because a pure devotee of the Lord is so purified in his heart that he cannot leave the shelter of Lord Krishna in any circumstance. There is no self-interest in such service. The progress of culturing knowledge by the Gnanis or the bodily gymnastics by the yogis are ultimately given up by the respective performers, but a devotee of the Lord cannot give up the service of the Lord, for he is ordered by the spiritual master. Pure devotees like Narad and Nityananda Prabhu take up the order of the spiritual master as the sustenance of life. They do not mind what becomes of the future of their lives. They take the matter very seriously, as the order comes from the highest authority, from the representative of the Lord, or from the Lord himself. So this point really struck me when I read that, as a pure devotee of the Lord, like Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who is an incarnation of Lord Balaram, the Guru Tattva, the ultimate spiritual master, that they take the order of the Lord so sincerely and so submissively that it does not matter what becomes of their lives. So for us, or for me, I realized that by looking at the example of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who is the topmost spiritual master, that how I should also, to a certain extent, imbibe the submissive surrender to the instructions of Guru Shishya Parampara, and also to cultivate that surrender in devotional service. I'm of the age where I'll be interacting with a lot of people, and people who may challenge, people who may not accept. But the idea, or what I've realized, is that as long as the sincerity is there, as long as you surrender unto these topmost devotees of the Lord, like Sri Lord Nityananda Prabhu, then it becomes that you please the Lord as well, and you please them. Through them, you can reach this platform of devotional service, and through them you can progress in your own spiritual life, and in the same way bring other people to Krishna consciousness. So this Lord Nityananda Prabhu's example is very, very important for everyone, and particularly I thought that preaching, especially for those who are keen on preaching, for those who want to preach to different towns and villages, that we must really understand the mood of Lord Nityananda Prabhu and how we can imbibe that mood in our own efforts, and we surrender unto Lord Nityananda Prabhu in order to cultivate some of that love of Krishna. So that is my realization. Lord Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Krishnadas. Thank you. Preaching his essence, following the mode of Lord Nityananda, is very critical.
Sorry, you muted us.
Sorry, I think, I think we have, I think we've come to the end. Not many devotees wanted to give the realizations now. So I'll give my realization. Thank you very much to all the wonderful devotees for your wonderful realizations. What Lord Nityananda Prabhu. And we have covered all the points, all the topics. I would like to read from one very old note, which was written. It was a small paragraph, couple of paragraphs written by on Sri Nityananda Trayodashi, Lord Nityananda, in the Harmonist magazine by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki jai. That is Srila Prabhupada's Guru Maharaj. Now Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada's language, English language, is very, very advanced language. It's very hard to catch up. Okay, so I'm going to just read as it is and see what happens. Hare Krishna, Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in the Harmonist magazine about the manifestation of Guru in the form of Nityananda. So we all have known that he's the original Guru, but how he works, what is the process of his working, that is very nicely elucidated by Srila Prabhupada. So here, The Guru is embodiment of the manifestation of divinity to the pure receptive spiritual essence of the disciple. Nityananda is the primary manifestive constituent of divinity. Nityananda alone possesses the distinctive function of the Guru. In Nityananda, the function is embodied. Nityananda is the servant God. So underline this point. He's a servant God. He's serving God as a Guru. He serves Sri Gaura Sundar by the distinctive method of reverential servitude. So he also has reverential servitude, awe and reverence. He is identical with Sri Balaram in Krishna Lila. Sri Balaram is not the chum of Krishna, but his respected elder brother. It is an intimate relationship characterized by becoming reserved on one side and of respectful deference on the other. Individual souls are under the direction of Nityananda. Please underline this, what is coming now. They receive the service of Sri Gaura Sundar, that is of Krishna, at his hands, means not Nityananda's hands. Nityananda is not a jiva, he is divinity. He is the ultimate source of the jiva. The jiva is a potency of Nityananda. No jiva can be the medium of service of the Absolute to another jiva. The Absolute alone may communicate his service to the separable constituents of himself. This is the real nature of the function of a Guru. So that's why a Guru is representative of Krishna, because no person can even talk about the service to God. Only God can tell. That's the point here. The Absolute may alone communicate his service to the separable constituents of himself. Now, listen very carefully. But Nityananda does not directly instruct in the confidential service of Krishna. I'll repeat again. He's the original Guru, but Nityananda does not directly instruct in the confidential service of Krishna. Srimati Radharani is the Guru of the inner circle of the servants of Krishna. Srimati Radhika, however, accepts the offer of service of only those souls who are specially favored by Nityananda and are deemed by him to be fit for her service. There is therefore a most intimate relationship between the function of Nityananda and that of Srimati Radhika, which is at once supplementary to and inclusive of the former. So we require Lord Nityananda's recommendation before Sri Radhika can give us the service of Krishna. So if we want to go to Goloka Vrindavan is everyone associating with Krishna and Radhika directly. So it is the recommendation of Lord Nityananda, which is accepted by Radhika, to do service for Radha and Krishna. Okay, so this is a bit hard for many beginners, but good to hear. Listen to this. It is this position which so many sadhus, senior devotees, senior Vaishnavas aspire for. So it's good to hear. Good to hear. Now, I would like to read an adaptation from Sri Panchatattva, The Five Features of God, by Satyaraj Das, Stephen R. Rawson. This is narrated by Harinam Dasi. So please listen very carefully. Nityananda Prabhu appeared in the village of Ekachakra in Bengal, West Bengal, India, around 1474. I tell you one thing, we had been to Ekachakra and you will not like to come back. Yes, it is Muslim majority village, just like Mayapur is. Mayapur is big now because of ISKCON. You see, outside of ISKCON city, it is very poor area. Mayapur. Inside it is all devotees. It's like a city by itself inside. And you go anywhere, have prasadam anywhere, different restaurants, different darshans, all great. Every day there's a festival there. But don't go alone. Go under guidance. So those devotees who now find that okay, Mayapur also is becoming like a city, although it is not, but then they drive up to Ekachakra. There are still fields, lush fields of Nityananda's birthplace. Now there's a very nice ISKCON temple of Lord Nityananda, God Nitai, by His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj. And they're organized very well there. The guest house also. But there's also Gaudiya Math places there, very nicely maintained, of Lord Nityananda's different pastime places. There are places of Lord Nityananda, that navel cord when the child is born, so that the buried, where it was buried, that place is still there. You just walk in like this. It's just like that. Just walk in. It is there, the tree there. There is also a place, it's called Ekachakra because, if you know, in the Mahabharata, when Bhishma Dev had said that he'd taken a pratigna, when Krishna says, I will not fight, I'll just be a charioteer. So Bhishma Dev said, how can you not fight? We are big Kshatriyas, we will make you fight. So he was constantly, trying to finish Arjuna with arrows and fighting. And to save Arjuna, ultimately Krishna came, entered, he stopped the chariot, went down, took up the chariot, and was trying to force, and throw it to Bhishma Dev. And that's when Bhishma Dev folded his hand and said, I wanted to see this. Because I'm a Kshatriya, how can you not fight? Krishna, I'm your devotee, you will have to fight. It's my pratigna. So Krishna smiled there, and from there he threw the chariot from Kurukshetra. So from Haryana, Sanjeev Prabhu's place, it was thrown, it went to West Bengal in a place called Ekachakra. One chakra. Ekachakra. Also the place where when the Pandavas went and they're hiding, demon was killed. So that Bakasur place is also there, where the Pandavas lived there in the place. And it is just like in the middle of fields, you have to walk through the fields to go there, and different people's fields, many Muslims and all that, It's beautiful, beautiful. Very, very beautiful. Oh, Mayapur, Ekachakra, very beautiful. I'm just trying to sell this to you so that next time, Krishna willing, by the mercy of Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada, when the code opens up and we come there, so we can go to all these places. It's transcendental. Once you go there, then you can chant throughout your life. It is ecstasy. Okay? Right. So let's continue now. So Nityananda Prabhu appeared in the village of Ekachakra in West Bengal around 1474. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita and other scriptures, he is declared to be the avatar of Lord Balaram, the direct expansion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Nice pastimes. As a child, he was called Nitai and had a close circle of friends. Not many, close circle of friends. Together, they used to imitate the pastimes of Krishna and his associates. The adults of Ekachakra were fascinated by this unique little boy and loved him as their own. Seeing his total absorption in the avatars of Krishna, they suspected that he might be some sort of incarnation himself. Day after day, he would enact different pastimes and did it so skillfully that his neighbors wondered, how is that he's so talented? They think, how does he know the stories so well? And no one has explained all these details to him. On one occasion, one of the boys dressed as Akrura and took Krishna and Balaram away from Vrindavan. You know that pastime where Thakur takes away from Vrindavan to go to Mathura? On the order of Kamsa. Nitai cried in grief, feeling the separation of the cowherd girls, the gopis, from Krishna. The tears of love flowed from his eyes. His acting was so authentic that it made all who watched question whether he was merely acting or in some way experiencing the part he played. This was true whether he was playing Krishna, Balaram, or even Vamana and other incarnations of the Lord. When questioned, Nitai would respond, "These are my own divine pastimes, and I am allowing you to see them." Among his most convincing roles was that of Lakshman, brother of Ram, who imitated his divine identity as Balaram. For his first 12 years, Nityananda Prabhu stayed in Ekachakra and shared loving pastimes with his neighbors. Go further now. Traveling on pilgrimage just before his 13th birthday, however, a traveling mendicant came to his home and was welcomed by a guest or by Hare Pandit. So Hare Pandit is the father of Lord Nityananda, and he accepted this traveling mendicant as a guest in his house. Nityananda's affectionate father. With deep respect and hospitality, Hare Pandit offered his eminent guest all that he had. "Please feel free to take whatever you like," he said. "My home is your home." The visiting ascetic explained that his was a simple life and that his needs were minimal. However, he said, he needed a traveling companion. A young Nitai would be an appropriate person for such a service. Nitai was eager, and reluctantly Hare Pandit agreed to let go his son. Nitai traveled to holy places, from holy place to holy place, for the next 12 years, until he was 32, traveling, receiving instructions and friendship from his elderly sannyasi companion. He enjoyed and he journeyed the length and breadth of India and sanctified the subcontinent by his presence. As Nitai continued to travel, feeling of ecstasy of these sacred places, he more and more took to the character of an avadhut, a spiritually elevated person who is aloof to the material surroundings and appears crazy to the uninformed. His mode of activity and general behavior became increasingly unexplainable. No one could understand what motivated him or why he behaved in a certain way and certain ways. For example, he sometimes danced ecstatically with a cloth meant to cover his loins, wrapped instead on his head, and is dancing. This is called avadhut. You see, in the, I think, 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a very nice verse which talks about how a devotee's actions are not understandable by other people. And especially a person who's preaching for many years, his actions will baffle other people. Because many decisions have to be taken while preaching or guarding, protecting devotees, allowing certain things, not allowing certain things, giving information in a particular way. Others may think, why is he like this? He's too attached. They are committing offense. This person is not attached. He just wants to give information in a systematic way. That's it. That's why we said that anyone who's preaching, be very careful. You can easily misunderstand and start to create offense. Prabhupada were so many times, Srila Prabhupada were criticized. Every preacher was criticized. So as we are training, we are saying, all of you are going to be preachers one day. All of you. So not today, we are to be trained up. Preacher meaning you are not leader. Preacher means you are servant. If Nityananda Prabhu is servant God, how can you become a leader? So we are servant. That is best. Once in Auckland, all this devotee, at the time we had these meetings, of different leaders, of the groups and Namata Preaching Center. So they say, Namata leaders, please respond. So I did not respond, So they all became very upset, why are you not responding, man? I said, leaders to respond. I'm not a leader, I'm just a servant. So they, oh my God. So next time they say, servants and leaders respond. Then I responded as a servant. It is just my ego talking, nothing else. Okay, I'm not saying. Okay, anyway, let's continue now. So this Avadhut form of Nityananda is very difficult to understand. Now, then in Pandharpur, that's in present day Maharashtra, Nityananda Prabhu met the saintly Guru Lakshmipati Tirtha. It is said that Lakshmipati Tirtha was given to intense dreams of Lord Balaram. And when he met Nityananda, he was convinced that his beautiful young personality was none other than Balaram himself. They soon developed a deep devotional relationship. According to some authorities, Lakshmipati initiated Nityananda Prabhu at this time, giving him the student name Swarupa. Lakshmipati's most famous disciple was Madhavendra Puri, who received direct instructions and gifts from the deity of Gopinath. See, so deities can also reciprocate with you. Because Madhavendra Puri was his senior, Nityananda Prabhu always treated him as though he were his spiritual master. Now understand one thing, Madhavendra Puri Prabhu's disciple is Ishwar Puri. And Ishwar Puri's disciple is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Right? This is from the Brahma Madhva, from the Madhva Sampradaya. Okay. Now, soon Nityananda Prabhu reached Vraj or Vrindavan, the land of Krishna. His ecstasy increased millions times. Visiting the many places associated with Krishna's pastimes, he shouted, danced, rolled around, laughed, and howled like a madman. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. When you come to Vrindavan, we all become mad. That's why it's best we approach these holy places in guidance of our seniors. Don't go alone. Please. You can go wherever you want to go. We don't force anybody. But if you go, then you'll follow some etiquettes, and certain things. And once you go there, you'll nice. You can chant very nicely. You'll swim there, Like Mayapur, you swim. Vrindavan, you swim more, Ecstasy. Same way. Mayapur, Vrindavan is the same thing. As Kali Yuga will progress more, Vrindavan will go down and disappear. And Mayapur will go up. Navadvip down. Mayapur Neka Chakra. So he shouted, danced, rolled around, laughed, and howled like a madman. With overwhelming intensity, he cried out, "Where is Krishna? Where is my life and soul?" As these words emanated from his anxious lips, he shivered uncontrollably, and tears of love poured from his eyes like torrents of rain. At that moment, he had a startling inner vision of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not appear in his life still. He was 32 years by now. That's when he got the vision, inner vision of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Vraj, Vrindavan, who had completed his childhood pastimes by now. And he was now overtly engaged in his mission, why he came, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This realization made Nityananda shorty with affection for his spiritual brother, and so from Sringaravat he proceeded to Navadvip to join Mahaprabhu in his pastimes. Nityanandaham vande karnelam vita mukhikam chaitanya graja rupena pavitra kruta balam bhutalam. Salutations to Sri Nityananda, who has a single pearl suspended from one of his ears. He is the elder brother of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and who is the purifier of the world. Now, uniting with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that chapter comes now. So the year now is 1506. So he appeared in the year 1474. This 1506 means how many? 24, 74 plus 26, 26 plus 6 is 32. So the year was 1506, and after arduous travel through dense forests in a trance-like state of devotion, Nityananda Prabhu reached the land of Noida, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu resided. When the two lords finally saw each other for the first time, they were immediately overtaken by waves of ecstasy. Nitai was roughly 32 years old and Mahaprabhu was 20. They each felt that their lives were now perfectly complete. Embracing, they cried with what seemed like rivers of ecstasy. Nityananda Prabhu, who is identical with Lord Balaram and the first expansion of Krishna, is considered to be the original guru for all of mankind. Thus, soon after his initial meeting, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tried to honor Nityananda Prabhu with a Vyasa Puja worship ceremony, befitting a great spiritual master. However, Nityananda Prabhu protested and grabbed all the worship articles from Mahaprabhu and worshipped him instead. Nityananda Prabhu kept repeating, Nimai Pandit is Mahaprabhu, is my Lord and Master. Nimai Pandit is my Lord and Master. There was constant competition as to who would serve whom. The transcendental love of one another is indescribable. From this point until Mahaprabhu left Navadvip for Jagannath Puri, Nityananda Prabhu was always at his side. The two biographers, who write biography? The two biographers, Vrindavan Das Thakur and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, clearly assert that Nityananda Prabhu holds the key to Mahaprabhu's heart. Haribol. The teaching of Chaitanya tradition is so emphatic. One who thinks that he can attain love of God without first attaining the mercy of Lord Nityananda Ram is living in a hallucination. Haribol. Now, liberation of Jagai Madhai, which we heard, So we'll see from different point of view now. Now, Jagai Madhai, they are also said to be incarnations of Jai Vijay, who also became, the demon Ravana, Kumbhakarna, etc. So now, Mahaprabhu asked Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur to serve as his door-to-door preachers, going to door to door, spreading the message of love of Godhead to every home in Navadvip. Now, see, Navadvip at that time, in the 1500s, was a great seat of knowledge. Anyone who wanted to have knowledge, spiritual education, would come to Navadvip, spend time to learn, travel to Navadvip. We go to Oxford and all that now, we go to Navadvip then. Right. So, Mahaprabhu asked Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur to serve as door-to-door preachers, spreading the message of love of Godhead to every home in Navadvip. It was at this point that Nityananda and Haridas met the two brothers Jagai and Madhai. They were descendants of an illustrious priestly dynasty, but had abandoned the pious ways of their forefathers for a life of debauchery. When the two emissaries of Mahaprabhu's mercy first met them, Jagai and Madhai were in drunken stupor, creating havoc throughout the village. That is the first entry now, the drunk and creating nuisance, and that's when they meet. Nityananda felt compassion for these fallen souls and reasoned that if they could be rectified, then Mahaprabhu's mission would become even more well received in Navadvip. With a very smart Brahmanas and all that. Now, they would not accept. They say, what are you chanting? God's name. You are not studying. You are not meditating. Wrong, So he thought it would be very nice if they got converted, and became sober and devotees. So approaching the two wayward brothers on the street, Nityananda begged them to chant the holy name of Krishna and to taste the sweet nectar of Krishna consciousness. But the two villains, just chased Nityananda down the road, shouting profanities and calling him foul names. Madhai threw a broken clay pot that came crashing down on Nityananda's divine head, causing him to bleed. Although Nityananda's body is perfectly spiritual, he manifested this pastime so that Jagai and Madhai could attain liberation. So when Mahaprabhu heard what had happened, he became infuriated and rushed to the area himself. How could anyone harm a gentle soul like Nityananda? Summoning his divine, this Sudarshan Chakra like weapon, which was flaming and radiant, Mahaprabhu said, Sudarshan! And Sudarshan Chakra came. Mahaprabhu prepared to kill the two repellent brothers on the spot, forcing them to taste the wrath of God. His anger, however, was assuaged by Nityananda Prabhu. He calmed him down, who reminded the Lord that the majority of people in this age are fallen as Jagai and Madhai. And actually that is his mission, the Lord's mission, to liberate them with love, not violence. That's the point. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not have weapons. His weapons are his devotees. Panchatattva are his weapons. Hearing these words, Mahaprabhu was willing to forgive Jagai. But Madhai, who had perpetrated the evil deed, needed to be forgiven by Nityananda Prabhu himself. You see, Nityananda Prabhu's mercy knows no bound, and he quickly forgave Madhai for all that he had done. Hari Bol! So when Jagai and Madhai saw the loving exchange between Mahaprabhu and Nityananda and observed Nityananda's forgiving nature toward them, their hearts were changed. They resolved to become devotees and enthusiastic supporters of Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan mission. Seeing their sincerity, Mahaprabhu took all their sins in his own head. For a few brief moments, his beautiful golden body turned an unsightly blackish color. Indeed, when Yamaraj's assistant Chitragupta tried to tally Jagai and Madhai's collective sins, He could not do so, and he collapsed in exhaustion from the incident with Nitai. However, Jagai and Madhai set the highest standard of devotional service by constantly chanting the holy names of Krishna and instructing others in devotion to him. So Jagai and Madhai also requested Jai Vijay to be in the part of Chaitanya Leela, and they did. And that's why they are pure devotees of Krishna who are his gatekeepers from Vaikuntha planets. Right. Now, spreading the Sankirtan movement. We're not too far. Is it okay if I continue for a few more minutes? Is it all right? We're in a couple of things, So, after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took on the renounced order of life, sannyas, to spread the Sankirtan movement to the congregation, to inaugurate the congregational chanting of the holy names of Krishna, the two brothers moved to Jagannath Puri on the east coast of India. There, Mahaprabhu left Nityananda and proceeded on a tour of South India. That was to last for 2 years. And that's when Mahaprabhu came to a temple where they found Sri Brahma Samhita, Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Prajami, and Mahaprabhu copied this. Only a few chapters were remaining. Everything else was lost. So when Mahaprabhu returned, he was pleased to see that Nityananda had developed a movement in Puri with the help of local devotees. However, the movement of Navadvip had been sorely neglected. And so in 1511, first time they met in 1506. Okay, then after 6 years, 1511, Mahaprabhu requested Nityananda, his most reliable Sankirtan commander, to return to Bengal. So when Nityananda Prabhu first returned to Bengal, he began his mission in Panihati. So it's a very beautiful festival of Panihati, which happened there. And we should also celebrate the Panihati festival. Well, it's explained briefly here. A village in north of Kolkata. So for several months, he preached and gathered followers in this area until thousands chanted and danced in ecstasy under his supervision. It was at this time that Raghunath Das Goswami, then a young boy, approached Nityananda Prabhu as a surrendered servant. Since Raghunath was born in a wealthy family, Nityananda asked him to hold a huge festival in which all the devotees could have as much yogurt and chipped rice as they desired. This is a Panihati festival. Yogurt and chipped rice. The festival at Panihati was a grand success, drawing pilgrims from miles around to participate in various ways. This naturally enhanced the Sankirtan movement and pleased Nityananda very much. But Nityananda Prabhu did not show that pleasure. He showed externally that he kicked, Raghunath Das. But he is a very different personality. Lord Balaram is very different. He showed his ecstasy in a different way. That's why Avadhuta also very different. Even in Kurukshetra, even in Mahabharata, Lord Balaram was favoring Duryodhana. He's very different. His own ways he's got, That's him. He didn't participate. And Raghunath Das Goswami, such a personality, he was so wealthy at that time, 1500 times. It is mentioned that his yearly income from land and everything was 300,000 rupees in 1500. And there was gold coins, not rupees. 300,000. Such a rich personality. He had land and land. But he gave up everything. So much so his parents would hold him back. Tie him down. He was married. They tied him down. Locked him in a room. But he would run away to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and became Avadhut. So, and ultimately he went to Puri. And in Puri, he would not eat food. He would not worry, he would chant holy names. So what happened was he would stand outside Jagannath Puri, where there's a temple of Lord Nrsimhadev, and whoever would give him any food, prasad, he would take it, accept it, and eat it. That's it. So some time went by, months went by like this, And then he thought, man, what am I doing? I'm standing here and I'm waiting for people to give me some food so I can eat. But my consciousness is what? I'm thinking this person will give me, that person will give me. I'm like a prostitute waiting for customer. This is wrong. Just see this. So he said, I will not do it, I won't beg for food. So he would go at the back of the Puri temple, where all the bhoga which was offered to Krishna, prasadam, which had become dirty and stale, and rice would be decayed, they would throw there. And he would pick those rice and take that rice and cut them open, this rice, wash them with water, and the good rice he would take and he would eat that. He started doing that. Imagine this. Such a great personality, Raghunath Das Goswami. So one day Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he saw, he said, where does he eat now? Yeah, he's eating like this. Devotee told me, told him, like behind, like this. He said, huh? So he ran to Raghunath Das Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and said, what are you doing? You are having this nectar alone. You should share it with me. Come on, let's do it now. So he also took share it. They would take the rice which has been thrown away or decayed. They would remove this, take out the good rice, wash with water and have it nicely. Just see. Where are we? Where are they? In the devotion. And especially in the state of devotion. So if we as devotees and the leaders, if we glorify money people, then we are wrong. We are not following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions, neither Nityananda Prabhu's instructions. If we are money conscious, it is totally wrong. Whoever we are, ISKCON or non-ISKCON or Gaudiya or whoever it is, that is wrong. We'll be 2 feet 2 inches away from the mercy of Lord Nityananda. We have to teach this. We don't have to teach, bring me money. Oh, so much money is brought. He's a big devotee. They're wrong. Totally wrong. Totally wrong. Right. Let's come back to this now. So, thousands dance in ecstasy under supervision. It was at this time Raghunath Das Goswami, the young boy whom we discussed now, approached Nityananda Prabhu as a surrendered sword, and then the festival of Panihati came. In Panihati, Nityananda Prabhu used the house of Raghav Pandit as headquarters. And from there, he taught Krishna consciousness to thousands of people from both sides of Bhagirathi river, a branch of Maganga, the Ganges that flows in that area. From there, he moved on to Varaha Nagara, where he stayed in the house of Gadadhar Das. He transformed his small dwelling into another center for the movement. See? And it is said that he moved people in this area so thoroughly that even children would come from neighboring villages on school days, bunking the school, to join his kirtans. After fruitful period of in these places, starting preaching centers, Nityananda Prabhu arrived in Saptagram, a town where inhabitants were mostly considered outcasts and untouchables by Hindu standards. Lord Nityananda Prabhu viewed all souls equally and spread Mahaprabhu's teachings lovingly to everyone he met. Nityananda Prabhu traveled on to Shantipur and Navadvip, where he went door to door and begged people to surrender to Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan mission. He carried this request to Tanjore, Baragachi, Dogachia, Fulia, and all villages in both sides of Maganga, the Ganges. At Khardaha, he is said to have converted no less than 1,200 males and 1,300 females, all Buddhists. In fact, Nityananda Prabhu's most important followers joined him at this time. With their help, he was successful in spreading the Krishna consciousness movement throughout Bengal. Now, last part, household life and his final pastimes. So when Nityananda Prabhu returned to Bengal at Mahaprabhu's request, he decided to abandon his Avadhut status. You know that man, mendicant, wearing anything, walking anything, torn clothes. He decided to abandon it and get married. A village leader named Suryadas Sarkhe had two daughters who were great devotees. Their names were Janava and Vasudha. As qualified girls who felt great affection for Lord Nityananda Prabhu, they were chosen to marry him. And he in turn reciprocated their affection. According to the poet Kaviraj Karnapur, the two girls were incarnations of Revati Devi and Varuni Devi, the wives of Lord Balaram. After some time, Vasudha gave birth to two children, a boy named Virabhadra and girl named Ganga Devi. Virabhadra later became a great leader in the Vaishnava community and continued to spread Lord Chaitanya's teachings in the mood of his distinguished father. However, soon after the birth of her two divine children, Vasudha passed away, and Janava vowed to raise them as her own. As the years went on, Janava developed a reputation of a superlative Vaishnava, embodying the ideals of devotion in Lord Chaitanya's line. She initiated her son, Virabhadra, as well as many other male and female members of the Vaishnava community. Major figures in Mahaprabhu's lineage took shelter of her lotus feet, and personalities like Narottam Das Thakur, Srinivas Acharya, Shamananda Prabhu accepted her as the most prominent Vaishnava in Bengal, because she is not Jiva Tattva, wife of Lord Balaram, Revati Devi. Now, in Ekachakra, not far from his birthplace, Nityananda Prabhu established a deity of Lord Krishna known as Bankim Rai, accompanied on the right by a deity of Janava Devi and on the left, Srimati Radharani. The priests of this temple say that Nityananda Prabhu merged into the form of Bankim Rai to leave the earth for his eternal pastimes in the spiritual sky. There are no other stories of Nityananda Prabhu's departure, so this one is generally accepted by the Vaishnava community. Be that as it may, his presence is always felt in the presence of one's own Guru, for the Guru is considered to be a living manifestation of Nityananda Prabhu's love, and his power is what gives a disciple the ability to perform devotional service and experience the bliss of devotional life. Because it is the Guru who is representing Nityananda Prabhu, and Nityananda Prabhu gives mercy to the disciple to perform devotional service. Jai Shri Nityananda Ram Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. All right. Okay. Does anyone want to say anything before we finish today? Hare Krishna. There are many new information for many of you there, including, yeah. Okay. Okay, Hare Krishna. So now we complete our program today. And tomorrow is Lord Nityananda's appearance day. There's half day fast. And with half day fast, we have a normal prasadam after that at 12 o'clock. And we chant the holy names, we perform Mangala Arati, and glorify Lord Nityananda tomorrow, which we started from today onwards. So we have got a head start, I like this, all of us, if you go to a big event place in a temple or wherever, then we see just Abhishek and somebody gives a class and we nod the head and have prasadam and come. Which is also good, nothing wrong. But here we prepare ourselves, So we are serious, we got to know different things. And we cook ourselves and offer to Lord Nityananda. Hare Krishna. Right. Now whose turn is it today to sing? Maharaj. This girl always confuses me, Is it you, Navina? Oh, okay. Very nice. All right. We will start. Right? 1, 2, 3, start.
Maharaj, please hear us.
Maharaj, please hear us.
We have learned some real good stuff.
We have learned some real good stuff.
Maharaj, we have learned one thing.
Maharaj, we have learned one thing.
And today for you we will sing.
For you we will sing.
If our room is clean,
If our room is clean,
then our mind is clean.
then our mind is clean.
If our mind is clean,
If our mind is clean,
we can do anything.
we can do anything.
If our room is dirty,
If our room is dirty,
then so are we.
then so are we.
And if we are dirty,
And we are dirty,
we're not happy.
we're not happy.
Wasting time
Wasting time
is the greatest crime.
is the greatest crime.
Because wasted time
Because wasted time
means a wasted mind.
means a wasted mind.
So best use your time
So best use your time
when you're in your prime.
when you're in your prime.
And your whole life
And your whole life
will be sublime.
will be sublime.
If your wealth is gone,
If your wealth is gone,
then there's nothing wrong.
then there's nothing wrong.
But if your health is gone,
But if your health is gone,
that's a different song.
that's a different song.
But if your character dies,
But if your character dies,
then the world will cry.
then the world will cry.
Only saintly behavior
Saintly behavior,
lets humanity fry.
lets humanity thrive.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
We must always remember
We
Krishna
must always remember Krishna
and never forget him too.
and never forget him too.
But how are we to practice this with so many things to do?
But how are we to practice this with so many things to do?
That is the greatest question.
That is the greatest question.
And here is the greatest clue.
And here is the greatest clue.
You must learn to work so nicely that Krishna remembers you.
You must work so nicely that Krishna remembers you.
So listen very closely
So listen very closely
and make your thinking sharp.
and make your thinking sharp.
Let's learn how we can live and work so Krishna won't depart.
Let's learn how we can live and work so Krishna won't depart.
If something's due tomorrow,
If something's due tomorrow,
finish it today.
finish it today.
And whatever's due today,
And whatever's due today,
do it now, don't delay.
do it now, don't delay.
Your friends might be lazy
If your friends might be lazy
or doing bad things.
or doing bad things,
But if you think again,
but you think again,
don't follow them,
don't follow them,
and you will win the end.
and you will win.
Whatever work we given,
Whatever what we given,
we do our very best.
we do our very best.
We only live with what we need and give Krishna the rest.
We only live with what we need and give Krishna the rest.
This is how to live, to work and to play. If you learn to live this way, we'll see Krishna every day. And when our time is up, he'll take us off a path. We sing and dance with him with our hearts full of love. So chant Krishna's name, his glories and his fame. It's only with this heart can ever become fame. Now please ask this greatest question
Now please ask this greatest question
and find this greatest clue.
and find this greatest clue.
You can only remember Krishna
You can only remember Krishna
if Krishna remembers you.
if Krishna remembers you.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Jolena Srila Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj Srila Gurudev ki Jai. Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Chandra Premanande Hari Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol.
Nityananda Ram's Transcendental Parents Day program ki Jai. Shri Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Chandra Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Bol.
Bhutadashmati Mahavishnu Goswami Namini. Namo Vishnupada Krishna Bhutadashmati Bhakti Viran Swami Namini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Prachayani Nirvishesh Sundari Prachayani Swami. So, we hope and pray you enjoy tomorrow's day. A lot of festivals for us, a lot of fasting, but it's always feasting after fasting, you know. So, we'll see you, Krishna willing, next week, same place, same time. And till then, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. We'll give you more information about the intermediate programs and all also. So you can give us your details to your tutors, who will in turn give it to us, and we'll move from there. Because it's not the chance of parents day, I can tell you something now with it that, as I said beforehand also, that it will be a different subject. We'll be teaching different subjects altogether. And that will be in our Sampradaya. So you'll know more about the Gaudiya Sampradayas, more of sense control, and more of how one has to lead life as a devotee. Okay. Hare Krishna. Jai. Shri Nityananda Ram ki Jai.
Jai.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.